So once again, we would greet you, and as we always do, express our appreciation for your participation tonight and the lending of your energy with the things that we do with you tonight. There was a particular direction that we thought we would take, and with the spirited nature of your earlier interaction, we thought that perhaps we would add a little bit to it. Of course, when you chose to participate in this particular dimension, it does afford you the opportunity to create in so many different ways, almost an endless number of ways. And in this, you utilize a movement of consciousness and of energy that you've become familiar with on your planet in many ways, shapes, and forms. And this is concepts or ideas. When you think about your automobile, it was an idea before it became a manifestation. When you think about your cell phones or your mobile devices, again, they were ideas, concepts, before you then brought them about to be used in the way they are. As you look around the setting that you're in right now, all of the things that you're participating with were an idea before they became, in that regard, manifest. It matters not what it is. Conceptualization is one of the tenets of consciousness. So as you created this particular dimension and chose to participate in it, you utilized many ideas in the way that you could express yourself within it. And you utilize these in all the things that you do. Ideas in this dimension are closely aligned with another expression of consciousness, another movement of energy that you call beliefs. They work in tandem, actually, ideas and beliefs in your dimension. And of course, you have a great degree of freedom here to express both of those in any way that you would like to. You're experienced, in one way of saying it, is enhanced through your seeming forgetfulness of what your ability actually is. And we say seemingly enhanced because it does afford you a platform within which you have taken good advantage of to create all of the things that you've created within this dimension. And again, as we and others have reminded you many times, the ability that you have to create is much, 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 much greater than what you have any inkling of in this particular moment. So, as you create the situations that you create in your life, it is either a creation that is really a creation that is between, and we'll say it this way, just you and whatever term you would like to use, your higher self, your wider self, whatever term you'd like to use. Or there are other aspects of consciousness, other higher selves that are also associated with this particular dimension that are involved with that also. However, if it is in your reality, it still needs to be filtered through your higher self before it shows up in your reality. Because, of course, it is your energies that you are directly interacting with. Now, as you walk down the street, maybe in a relatively secluded place, and you have a ship of some far-flung civilization show up above you, as certain individuals have expressed to you, the ships, especially for those individuals that are from other dimensions, are in fact their higher mind. This means that the experience that they have around them is created by their higher mind. This is exactly the same as you. The experience that you have around you is created by your higher mind. You can call your physical reality, if you would like, your ship. It is the environment that you reside within. Now, of course, within your experience, because of course your higher mind is incredibly vast, you are free and you have been free to create in many, many, many ways. And as you've moved to a place within the movement that you're now involved in to become increasingly familiar to who and what you are, you've had consciousness and entity show up in your experiences in a whole variety of ways. And you've moved into the understanding of who and what you are in quite a number of ways also. All of those ways have some degree of effectiveness. Otherwise, they wouldn't be within your reality to experience. There was something for you in that experience. They are, in that regard, and there is another who's used a term that we are fond of, so we will use it here. They are permission slips. They are your creation flowing from your own higher self, an aspect of consciousness that knows you totally and presents to you an event, a thing, a situation, another individual, whatever it might happen to be, that fits your movement at that time, as well as most typically aligns with the beliefs that are operating in the background in your consciousness at the moment that that happens. Now again, your experience here is one of seeming forgetfulness of the extent of actually what you are. This is not an accidental experience that you're having here. It is one that, of all of the experiences that you're having, that was created to be just the way that it is. Or perhaps we can say in this moment more accurately, within the idea of the terms of a flow of time, has been, because of course it's becoming different now. So in that, you have ideas that have been brought forward by various individuals in various cultures, in various places around your planet, that depending on perhaps we can say the time periods on your planet, and the prevailing thought processes, the prevailing beliefs that were going on in those places, there were then explanations that were developed about what it was that was being experienced, beliefs that were utilized. And you utilize those in ways that you may not even understand that you utilize them. Beliefs, in their foundational nature, are the way that you describe all things that happen in this reality to yourself. And we'll give you some examples. You believe, for instance, that there is a universe. You believe there is a galaxy. You believe there is a solar system. You believe that you breathe air. You believe that you drink water. You believe that some things are bad and some things are good. Some are right, some are wrong, some are good, some are bad, and some are better. Now, we're not saying here that any of that is a mistake or, in the line with the way that you use that word, wrong. It brings you an experience, a particular type of an experience. That is what you do continuously as you express yourself throughout all of consciousness, is you experience yourself. In this dimension, you've configured it to have particular types of experiences here. Experiences that can be quite diverse. Some very much in line with what you consider to be good. Some very much in line with what you consider to be bad. You're able to do that in this dimension because you have sequestered yourself very effectively from the knowledge of all that you are. It's only in doing that that you can have those types of experiences. In this time period that you're involved in this shifting of your consciousness, in this widening of your awareness, the work, if we can put it that way, is to what we will call neutralize beliefs. And what is it that we mean by that? We mean to recognize that you are utilizing ideas within this dimension to have the experiences in this dimension that you have. You utilize a flow of time in this dimension. Woven into that is the concept of change and age. There are many, 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 many things that you utilize here that you will understand why you utilize them, and you will begin to utilize them in the moment that you would like to utilize them. They no longer seem to be just default, whereas that's just the way things are. You will move to a place where you understand the way that you configure your reality around you in a very broad way, where you understand that this is a template of this particular dimension. It's part of the foundation of how it functions. You won't divest yourself of beliefs because it's part of this particular reality. You will learn to use them in a way really you once used them. Thinking perhaps we could say to a time period, we'll express it in that way, when you began this experience in terms of a flow of time. When, as you expressed yourself, you were only to a small degree what you would call physical, and you were still largely non-physical. You played with this reality. You attempted many things here. You utilized many forms for yourself and the other things that populated the planet. We'll put it that way. You've done many, 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 many things. In that regard, your planet is much, much, much older than anybody who exists on this planet has any idea of, because it, in fact, is infinite. There has not been a time, shall we say, where your planet has not existed, because it exists as a idea, shall we say, within consciousness. And if that is where it has always existed as an idea in consciousness. However, you utilize age and a flow of time within your creation here. It serves you well. You utilize it to have many experiences within this dimension. And you utilize many permission slips, not only as you live more common lives, but even as you strive to move into a deeper understanding of yourself. And none of those are in that regard better than others, nor worse than others. Because again, what they do is they provide you with an experience. This is the reason that you do this, that you come here. It's the reason you do all things, to experience yourself, creating yourself and in your environment, in yet another of the infinite ways that you create. There is nothing here to teach yourself. It only seems like it sometimes from this perspective. Because again, you have done a very good job at sequestering yourself from all that you are. So as you explore with the intent that all of you hold, to have a deeper understanding of what's going on, to have a deeper understanding of who you are, don't become, we would suggest anyway, overly attached to any particular way of doing that. Allow them to flow into your life, to invest yourself in them when you have the interest to, and to allow them to flow out of your life when that feeling that you have associated with them begins to wane. And then the next thing will move in. Because you are without boundaries. Even within this dimension, there are many, many, many ways that you can explore yourself. And if you could, in terms of history, go back and revisit cultures, different peoples in different nations around your planet as the centuries passed, as you went further and further and further back in that regard, you would find many, many more ways that individuals used various methodologies to explore who and what they were than anybody remembers in this moment. And that will just continue until you come to the awareness of what you actually are. And then you will have no need for that. You will have no need for individuals like us any longer, because you will have this information. It will be yours. You will have, in that regard, lifted the veil at that time. And you will explore your reality with a unbounded freedom that you can only vaguely imagine at this point. You call it excitement here. You call it joyfulness here. You express a connectivity that you term love as part of that experience. And connectivity is the key to what this is all about, because you will know your connection to all of existence. You will understand your security within that. And we use that word only because it makes some sense to you here. There will be no need to use it at that point, because there will be no idea of insecure any longer. Getting there, as you are already finding, is an interesting journey and an interesting path. It brings challenges of a wide variety of natures. Explore those challenges in whatever way you will. Because again, there is no gold star for moving through this existence in any particular way. Even if you choose to leave this existence in the more traditional way, which is to quote unquote die, you will. Shortly, shall we say, after you have appeared to die to those individuals who remain here. Because, of course, you will never experience death. But when you move to a different type of an experience, it will not take, in your terms, too long before you will once again have the awareness of who and what you are. You will know this experience for what it was. And there's nothing wrong with the experience. Again, all the ways that you explore this experience are valid ways of exploring the experience. It does not matter how you choose to do it. It's meant to be interesting. It's meant even to be challenging, if you choose it to be. Because again, there are so many ways to explore this particular configuration and the ideas that you've utilized here. So as you become increasingly aware of yourself, allow yourself freedom, allow yourself flexibility, allow yourself to explore whatever it is that you explore, because really, you cannot do yourself damage. You are infinite. You have always been, you will always be. There is no way to harm yourself. It may not appear that way within the experience, but that is only within the experience. So this is a little different than what we originally thought we might convey, but this is what we will convey tonight. So if there is something that you would like to have us expand on, if there are questions that you have, if there are questions you have that are different than the energy we expressed, we are welcoming of whatever you would like to bring our direction, perhaps, we'll say.
Thank you. Ray, please.
I'm going with the different question option. And Sparkling kind of brought this up. I was curious about how common visits to what we would determine extraterrestrial craft are for the members of this group. I know that I have been on a Pleiadian ship because another channeler, Anthony Anonica, told me that I was. I just knew that I missed like an hour of time. But I was real curious about that. If you could enlighten us, please.
Certain individuals align with various ways of conveying information to themselves more strongly than other ways on your planet. There are individuals that their doorways to a greater understanding are entirely through nature and nothing else. There are individuals whose doorway through and deeper into an understanding are through very physical things, you would call, and really little else. There are some that mix it up. There are also individuals that when they share information with themselves, they share it within the model of beings from other aspects of consciousness. And just like on your planet, when you have individuals that have similar types of energies and similar types of experiences, they tend to group themselves together. That's also what you will find in some of your groups. And so it's not surprising that you will have several individuals within the groups that you bring together, groups where you do discuss extraterrestrial activity, where you'll have individuals who will have those experiences that maybe they won't remember them until it's teased out of them, or perhaps they remember it when they come back from dream time, or perhaps they remember it, or they have perhaps some symbolism around them that helps them understand that they had that experience. But it's meant to catch your attention. Just like if you have an individual that really enjoys music of all sorts of different types, and they can be walking down the street with somebody who really doesn't enjoy music at all, and the individual who enjoys the music will pick up on somebody playing something in the window of their apartment as you walk down the street, even though it's being played very softly, because that's what they're tuned into all the time, is that. So as you go about your day as an individual whose mold, shall we say, is to have a proclivity to interact with individuals, aspects of consciousness that are from other dimensions, when those energies show up, you, in that regard, have a sensitivity to that. You have a penchant, shall we say, to connect in that way. So yes, individuals who find themselves together talking of these subject matters do have a leaning in that direction. So that is how we would answer.
And I'm guessing that if it was relevant for us to know and become consciously aware of those, then we would do so. And if we give um, like a suggestion that if they happen again, to give us some inkling that that would help.
You still have ideas about how reality works. And again, this is not wrong. They flow from the experiences in physical reality that you've had. Many times, the individuals that you're interacting with and the interactions that they're having, you cannot explain to yourself with the symbolism that are part of your physical reality. And so you will create something that conveys some of that information to you and for you. When your awareness begins to widen, which it will, those interactions will take on a different nature, because now you are able to understand some of the ways that that energy is being conveyed in a way that is difficult for you to do right now.
Excellent. I really like that. Thank you.
Christiana.
Thank you. Greetings to you.
And to you, thank you very much.
And thank you for being with us. With regards to ideas, it is quite known that I am interested in organizing, socializing with many different beings. And I had this picture in my mind and this feeling of a lot of curiosity and excitement from many, 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 many beings that I don't even recognize at the minute, which is wonderful. But I was wondering if you could maybe share any more information on what is going on the other side of the veil, and possibly messages from anyone?
The excitement that you're feeling is primarily a particular energy that's being expressed. We'll say it this way. In their excitement, that you have an interest in this direction. You all are familiar, we believe, that you have within a lifetime a broad approach to your life, and you term it an intent. This is one of yours, is to not only connect individuals, but to understand the depth and the breadth of your own connectivity. And as you begin to explore those things in a more focused way, perhaps we'll say, all of those individuals, and in this moment we'll call them that are friends of yours of a non-physical stance, express what you perceive within this dimension as excitement, as well as support. This is a natural desire of yours, and an approach to exploring your reality that you will put to increasing good use, perhaps we'll say it like that, as the years go by. And you'll become increasingly familiar with more of the nuances of what all of that means in your reality, and with your ability to connect with individuals and to connect those individuals to each other.
That sounds fabulous, and it makes me very joyful, and I have a lot to look forward to. Thank you very much.
And you have a nice flexibility, which you will need to hold on to, and you will, because that will be asked of you as you move deeper into this particular expression.
Thank you.
Anita, please.
Thank you so much for this interaction. I really appreciate you coming and speaking with us. I have a question. You touched a lot about beliefs, and you could expand our understanding to be able to change beliefs that we feel does not serve us, and to transform them in a way that it would lead to an experience we do prefer.
If you're going to do this intentionally,
Mm-hmm.
we would suggest that you look around at beliefs that are relatively mild, not too strongly held, beliefs that you could probably move beyond with not a lot of effort,
Mm-hmm.
and begin there. When you do that, what will happen is you will show yourself that, in fact, these things can be altered. Now, you've already done this in your past. Any individual here that grew up with the notion of Santa Claus in their life once believed very strongly in the actual existence of that individual. You do no longer. It might have been another individual, the Easter Bunny, that was also the same thing. When you were very young, if you ride a bike now, at one point you believed you could not ride the bike. And then you went through a process, what you call a process, and then now you believe that you can ride a bike. You've done many, many, many things like that in your life already. You can look back at those things as well. Now, the deeper you sometimes will move you through those types of things in a way that may seem a little bit more abrupt. And if that happens, there's a reason for that. There's a understanding that you will come to that will benefit all the rest of the things that you're going to do. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to bang yourself around too much, but you can find yourself in very challenging places sometimes. But if you're doing it intentionally, we would suggest to start with those things that are mellower, that are easier to look at. Do not grab the strong ones and go, I'm going to change the way that I see that. You'll find yourself standing in front of a very hard, thick wall that's made out of cement or granite, trying to move through it, and you will not. So start easy. That would be our suggestion.
That is very helpful. Thank you.
So, Angie, please.
Hey, hi, thank you for being with us again. My question is in reference to what you had mentioned at the beginning about something along the lines of when we see UFOs, it's really our higher self. I would just love clarification on that. I've had lots of in waking time experiences with UFOs, also tons in dream time. But both are just my higher self. It's not really UFOs and extraterrestrials.
So what we actually referenced was another individual that shares this information on your planet, who shares that in that regard, they are from another dimension, as what you would term an extraterrestrial. And what they have shared, which we would corroborate, is that their ship is their higher self. Now, again, if you understand that you're the one that's creating your experience of reality, let's say that, so if you play computer games, and let's say you have, we'll say 50 individuals on their computers playing a computer game, and then you have what's called a server where this game exists. Now, the information comes from the server to the computer, but it must be configured by the computer it's coming to in order for the individual to interact with it. This is similar to the experience that individuals have with extraterrestrials. Yes, there is a being of consciousness that is in some way, shape, or form impinging on your dimension. But in order to give that phenomenon substance, you and your higher self collaboratively need to do that, because you interact with your energies here. You do not interact with anybody else's energies. Physically speaking, your higher self directly interacts with those energies from those other individuals. But that information is then sent to you, shall we say, via your higher self, and configures really your energy, because you are non-different from your higher self, so that you have an experience. Just as you configure energy around you to be sitting in a chair, to be looking at a monitor, to be holding a piece of food in your hand. All those things are that. Again, You've gotten to the place in your sciences where they understand these things. Molecules, atoms, the particles of the atoms, and the movements of energy that make up all of that, and how that shifts and moves all the time. You believe that you're sitting actually on the chair. There is no actual contact that occurs between the molecules of what you will call your body and the molecules of that chair. There's a field that holds you apart from that. There's a number of things that's understood by your sciences even that sometimes are helpful in these regards because you have the experiences that you've had within physical reality. But in a large way, again, it is again your higher mind, shall we say, that creates your experience for you. And so when you're having that experience, we're not saying that there aren't other aspects of consciousness that are showing up in your experience. But what it is that you experience visually, auditorially, that is created, translated through your higher self to have that experience. Because all your experiences are given to you by your higher self. And again, it doesn't mean that your higher self in that regard isn't in communication with all of the other ones that are out there and all the information that's being passed between all those aspects of consciousness. But in order for you to have that experience, that's going to be the channel your experience comes through.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. That makes more sense now. What do you perceive might be the reason why my higher self in coordination in this kind of thing has had these UFO experiences to be directly above my house on more than one occasion? I feel like that's a really symbolic thing, but I'm not sure what that's supposed to be telling me.
It is more than symbolic. Again, you will choose some individuals, again, are very attracted to nature. And when they're out to nature, they may see Sasquatch walking through the woods. They may see fairies manifest around them in the woods. They may see a variety of things in the woods. That's the manner that catches their attention. That opens the doors for them to question, to probe further. For you, in part, this is the way that you do it. Having that experience makes you question, makes you probe, makes you explore. Because really, what you're exploring is you. At some point, you will understand that in a much more deep way. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your exploration or your understanding right now. I'm just saying that you are on a path to a deeper understanding, and those are the breadcrumbs that you're giving yourself to keep yourself interested in that exploration.
Very cool. Thank you.
This said too. My question has to do with this experience and the sense of linear time that gives me the idea that I'm becoming. Is the spiral of self-realization serves a purpose beyond what I consider to be the individual self. So source is expanding. Is it really learning? Is it really creating newness? And what's that? How do I grab it?
Source, or you could call it the universe, some people call it. You could call it all that is. You could call it existence, whatever name you would like to use. It has no need, and by it, you may think I mean a being like yourself, but that is not our reference. So even if we say they, you will think in terms of a collection of individuals like yourself. So we would just say it, but in that, realize that what we're talking about is all of consciousness. It in that regard, does not learn in the way that you understand learning. It does, however, experience. And what it experiences is itself as it expresses itself in ways that are new to it because it approaches the exploration in a little different way than what it did in terms of time previously. Now, you may be aware that there is a state, perhaps we'll call it, of yourself where there is no experience. None. No action. None. You move back and forth between, and we'll use this term because it makes sense to you, between the experience of having experience and between the experience of having no experience. You do it perpetually. Both of those states are you. One is not better than the other. They are different. In a manner of speaking, one of the reasons why you, in those terms, in your language, love creation so much is because it is a very different experience than no experience. So, experience is why you create. There is really no learning in that regard to be had. You create effortlessly. There are no methodologies you need to learn. When we mentioned belief systems earlier, one of the things that we shared with you is that they are, in one regard, an explanation as to how your experience comes about. If you think that it just appears and it's not associated with any type of progression or any type of cause and effect, because of the experience within the reality that you've had, that will be a very confusing thing for you. Now, you're moving toward that understanding. When your shift in consciousness is over, you will understand that tenet in actually a very experiential way. So in that regard, in a manner of speaking, you create solely for, and we'll phrase it this way, the thrill of creating. The sheer exuberance and joy that comes in your exploring ever new aspects of who and what you are. And when we say ever exploring, this is what we mean. Your exploration has no end. Actually, it had no beginning either. But that idea can be a little more difficult for all of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend.
Very profound. Ray, please.
You kind of answered this question earlier, but I was curious about if extraterrestrial interactions that we are conscious of are on our soul path, as well as being guides to help remind us or give us impulses of things, avenues of exploration which are beneficial to us.
Yes, they are both.
That's kind of what I thought. Thank you.
Anyone else has questions? Angie?
Not at the moment, believe it or not.
Okay. I'm glad that you got them answer already. I'll be happy
We
to,
would add this if we could.
yes, of course.
Allow yourself to be confused. Allow yourself to not know everything. We'll suggest to you that in this moment, knowing everything is not the point. You will arrive there in your terms at some moment. Embrace your process. Embrace the experience that you're having right now. If you're having challenges, yes, you will find ways to move beyond your challenges. But let's say, other than that, embrace your process. Really, and you've heard this from others, there is no place you are going. There is no place you need to get to. Each moment in that regard is the end of where you wanted to go. And then it's followed by the next moment, which again is the end of where you wanted to go. So, of course, you are drawn to explore because the flame that your moth is drawn towards is you. And so you naturally want to understand yourself. This is perpetually why it is that you explore and create, because you strive to understand yourself. But be all right with not knowing everything at this time, because the experiences that will come from that and the ways you will choose things from that are every bit as valid as the ones you will choose in terms of time later down the line. Enjoy your existence to the degree that you can. Don't worry overly or at all, if you can, about where it is you're going. Embrace where it is you are. As strange as it sounds, it's by embracing where it is that you are that the doors to where you are flowing will open the easiest. So we would suggest that to you.
Can I add to that? I know that in the Law of One, the raw material, he called this the age of confusion. And to me, I feel like there is a difference between not knowing everything and being confused about things.
Indeed. In your 1800s, in your 1700s, in your 1600s, and in terms of time, quite a number of millennia before that, things were very cut and dried, shall we say. There were a way that things worked. You could count on life to do things in certain ways. People acted in a particular way. This is no longer true with all of you. Things have expanded greatly. In your 1900s, many, many, many inventions came on the scene. Now in your 2000s, you're learning to share information in ways that is increasingly rapid all the time. You're making changes at a pace that you have never made changes before. It is confusing for many of you. This is not, in terms of time, what you are used to. In that regard, as you focus on your physical reality, you do not know where you are headed. You are quite familiar with where you are been. You know it well. You do not know where you're going, physically speaking, that is. So yes, confusing it will be. This is why you have individuals like ourselves sharing information, regardless of how they get it, because it is very confusing. We strive to help you make it less so that you can move through this journey in a way that doesn't beat yourself up so very badly.
But nevertheless, we should still be okay being in states of confusion because we just can't have clarity on everything.
Explore to the degree that you are drawn to explore. At the same time, and this sounds like an oxymoron, be okay with where you are in the moment. And then as the next moment, as it changes and whatever it is shows up in your life, then again, your understanding has changed. And then again, you're okay with who you are in that moment, but you continue to explore. So it's a both and in that degree.
Like an exercise in trust and faith.
Indeed, very much an exercise in trust. Because you can. You're not trusting anybody else. And even though, yes, many times when you have challenges, you believe that you've left yourself out to dry. We assure you that really is not the case. So if you can learn to trust yourself, then you will find that you've put that trust in the right place.
I have learned to trust the universe. I've not quite gotten to trusting myself yet, but I'm assuming that's part of the process eventually.
It is. It is your process. It will work well for you. And it will flow in the way that will, because it has to, work for you in the end.
Heidi, please.
So, a question just occurred to me, and it's like 270 degrees from where we've been talking about. But it's about energy and helping people. And one of the main forms of energy that people associate with help is, of course, money. And I think in our hearts, the amount of people we want to help exceeds the amount of money we have. So my question is, what sorts, or how can we look at energy, or what can we give that will help?
Primarily, and more powerfully than anything else, is an example. How it is you express yourself in your life. You would be surprised, we will suggest, on how many individuals pay attention to the ways that you live your life, especially if they notice you responding in a way that they believe is atypical for the situation they see you in. In other words, you don't respond to it as strongly as they think you should. They will wonder why you have not done that. And if they see you do that again, they will know that there's something that you've become aware of that enables you to interact with your life in a way that is different than how they do it. Your example is a very, very powerful thing. After that, if you choose to share information, knowledge, we could even say wisdom with individuals, feel free to. However, it needs to be, as others have said, freely given, no expectation. If you are walking down the street in the downtown area of a city that has some size, large enough to have homeless individuals in it, and you're approached by an individual, and in that moment, you feel like you would like to give them some money, and you want them to have enough money so that they can eat. Actually, something is substantial, and so you give them $20. And as you begin to walk away, they walk a few feet beside you to an individual that's standing next to a building. And within your sight, they begin to buy some sort of a drug from that individual. That is their freedom to do. The same with what you give to individuals. When you share information with individuals, They get to choose what they're going to do with that information because it is now their information to do what they want with it. However they choose to interpret it, however they choose to relay it to other individuals is something that it does no good for you to worry about. You know why you gave it. You know what the intent was. That energy accompanies it. It's up to the other individual to open themselves to that. Now, as a result of the idea that you brought into being, that you term money, and the idea of power that you give to that form of interchange, you place a great deal of emphasis on that particular manifestation. If you could see behind the scenes a little, what you would see is that anything that comes into anybody's life as a result of money, you create for yourself and you utilize the money as the reason why that happened. But it was not the reason why that happened. The idea of cause and effect is something that is woven through your ideas within this particular reality. That's the way you set your reality up. But again, as you widen your awareness, all of you will understand that that idea is not really the way that things happen. You do not actually need an intermediary like money. You actually never have. You have always created things directly in your existence. But you use, again, what's called permission slips as to how it showed up in your existence. How was it that it got here? And then you construct a narrative that convinces you that it showed up in this particular way. So yes, money is yet an important component of what you're doing within your societies. And in that regard, it has value for that reason, for the ideas that you still have attached to it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's all fine. And if you choose to give money to individuals, you can certainly do that. We're going to suggest to not do that in a way that makes your life difficult and challenging. There is no advantage for you in that. And we'll suggest that your example is a much more powerful thing. It is, you may believe this is overly simplistic, but it is like the story of teaching somebody to fish versus giving them the fish. Right now, your energy, and in that we're talking to all of you here, is becoming increasingly potent. When you live your existence, when you make the choices that you do, the energy of those choices spreads through your collective. And in that, it aids everybody else in being able to lean a little bit more into making choices that are, shall we say, in that regard, more beneficial for them. It's a very powerful, important thing to do. Giving money is fine, nothing wrong with it. But we're going to suggest, please do not do it in a way that, in that regard, it brings some sort of stress to your existence. That is not necessary.
I guess that would also be true of any type of energy, We don't want to
Correct.
overtax ourselves, even in sending healing energy or.
Yes. It is not up to any of you or us to save anybody. In fact, nobody needs to be saved. Yes, there's a direction that you're all heading. And yes, individuals who explore in the way that you explore can be helpful in that exploration. But remember, all of them have a direct connection to an aspect of themselves that understands all of this totally. So if you can share things that begin to open those doors, fantastic. But don't burden yourself with it. It should not feel like that. It should feel like it's something that you enjoy doing, that you continue to desire to do. If it begins to feel otherwise, then choose to interact with other individuals. Choose to express yourself in a different way. This journey that you're all on should be a journey, we're not fond of that word, but we will use it. Should be a journey that feels freer as you move forward into it. It should not feel more constraining. If it does, stop and consider, why is that? If you can identify why that is, we'll suggest to perhaps make another choice. We have completed our response.
Thank you, Deseto.
Thank you.
With
Thank
that,
you.
I think that we have an amazing, amazing evening with Deseto. We really, really appreciate everything that you have done here for us. Such love and wisdom. Thank you.
As much as we enjoy sharing the things that we share with all of you, please understand you have access to all this information within yourself. We're more than happy to point you in the directions of the doors that you can open for yourselves. But understand, we are not the room that you're opening the door to. You are the room that you're opening the door to.
Yes. Thank you.
And welcome back.
Wow.
That's right. Wow, wow, wow. Amazing, 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 amazing.
As Willa would say, it feels like I have, what do you call it? Fairy dust? Pixie dust sprinkled on me right now.
There you are. There you are.
Oh, yeah.
Well done,
Yes.
Chuck.
Yeah. I
Big
guess
Chuck and little Chuck.
embracing boundlessness is
Indeed,
definitely
yes.
what's happening. So amazing. Totally amazing.
I'll have to share something with you guys. I get deeper into sharing information with, so far, this group of individuals than I do in any other format.
It's the
which,
feel, right?
Which means something about the doors that you're willing to open.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's our higher selves. They're really doing the trick, you know.
Hey man,
They're dancing,
we're all in
dancing.
collaboration back there. We're going, okay, we're going to hit them with it.
That's right. That's right.
Have you prepared them? Oh yeah, we've been having some good dreams. They don't remember most of it, but that's okay.
Uh-huh. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
We don't swim in the shallow ends anymore.
Indeed, no waders any longer going on here. It's all in the deep end of the pool.